In this installment, we're going to be going over the Monday Night Football Showdown slate on DraftKings between the Los Angeles Rams and the Green Bay Packers. Let's get into it. Hey, yo! Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Chef D, and I'm here to give you the winning ingredients for your Monday Night Football Showdown slate on DraftKings between the Los Angeles Rams and the Green Bay Packers. We're going to be channeling the inner Nicolas Cage and Aaron Rodgers in this particular game. But before I deep dive into that, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MetsNetShedD. Don't forget about that TikTok at Chef_D91. And don't forget about the Patreon, because you guys are missing out on crazy killer bets and futures, man. We're doing both of those things on Patreon. If once you come in, I ask you, what do you want? You want DFS or you want picks, all right? And it's there for you, all right? You guys got to sign up. We killed it on Sunday. Full day of Sunday. Jacksonville Jaguars and the Bears. Those two teams were in sandwich spots between the Eagles and the Cowboys, because they're going to face each other the next week. So I love both of those guys to cover the number. That's what they did. They came through. Raiders was a great play against the Patriots. Patriots have nothing on offense, all right? They have nothing on offense, okay? Raiders came through. Raiders and Chargers. Chargers won a must-win situation. Chargers ahead by itself. Giants at Sunday Night Football. They came through to cover that +4, and they won as well. That came through. But the pride in the gem of Sunday was the Argentina future I had. That came through with flying colors. That was a great game that we saw. As you can see, multiple bets on Argentina, and that came through 100%. So guys, sign up for that Patreon. Do not miss out. Let's get into the slate. The first thing we're going to do before we get into the captains and the flex ops, that's going to be the most important, the injury report, all right? Injury report for these Los Angeles Rams. We understand no Cooper Kupp, obviously no Aaron Donald for the past couple weeks. They're not going to play for the rest of the year, right? That's just plain and simple. Marquise Copeland, another D tackle, he's going to be out. So they're going to be very weak on that defensive line, all right? Trayvon Howard is going to be out. David Long, DB, is going to be out, and John Wolford, the quarterback, that doesn't matter. John Wolford doesn't matter because Baker Mayfield is now the quarterback. So they're going to be missing some key components there on the defensive side of the ball. On the Green Bay Packers side, the one big miss will be David Bakhtiari, Aaron Rodgers' best friend. He's going to be out, and he's not going to be protecting his blind side. So that's the only thing that's going to hamper this Green Bay Packers team that's going up against a very poor Los Angeles Rams defense. So that's going to help. And Romeo Doubs is going to be back. So he's going to have his full complement of wide receivers now for Aaron Rodgers and for these Green Bay Packers. All right, let's get into the captains. For the El Capitans, we're going to start at the tippy top here, and that's going to be Aaron Jones, their number one running back here for the Green Bay Packers. If you're looking at fantasy points allowed to that running back position, we go all the way down to the bottom here. Los Angeles Rams have been pretty decent the past couple weeks. Let's move this to week 10. They have been pretty solid. So we're going to go see these Los Angeles Rams. 13th overall, 19th in the red zone, allowing 77 yards per game to the running back position, 3.5 yards a carry, all right? That's mainly because they give up so many yards passing-wise, but this is going to be the bread and butter of this team here. They're going to utilize Aaron Jones, and they're going to utilize A.J. Dillon, all right? So Aaron Jones is not in a great position, but he does average more fantasy points at home. As you can see, 18.4 fantasy points per game at home. That's always where he usually cooks. And he's going to see double-digit touches, all right? We're seeing 10-plus carries, and if the game script is going well, he's going to see more than that. And he's also getting work in that receiving game. So we got a dual-threat guy here in Aaron Jones, similar to Austin Eckler, where he's going to provide in both categories. And he has some upside here at the captain spot. He might be a little bit lesser owned because of the matchup is not 100% great. So I have no problem going towards him definitely as a flex. The question is, will he be the guy at captain? You can consider him. Let's see if we can find some other gems at the captain spot, all right? We're going to go with Nicolas Cage here and Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers in a absolutely great spot here going up against these Los Angeles Rams. Let's look at fantasy points allowed to that quarterback position. Flip it all the way around. You see the Green Bay Packers are poor against QBs as well, and so are the Los Angeles Rams. They're allowing about 264 yards passing per game. Now, you factor that this is going to be Aaron Rodgers at home. They're very high winning percentage at home. They're going to play better at home, and he's getting his full complement of wide receivers back. Lazard, Dobbs, and Christian Watson, who's looked absolutely phenomenal, and 1.6 TDs per game, all right? So this is going to bode well for Aaron Rodgers in that department. Is looking at the passing defense, 22nd ranked overall is that Los Angeles Rams defense. This is where you're going to pick apart them in that secondary, all right? They already got a major guy out as well. So this is good for Aaron Rodgers. He can be considered in that captain spot, all right? Baker Mayfield will bring him up because technically this is a good matchup as well. Green Bay Packers have been struggling against opposing quarterbacks, all right? 30th overall, 18th in the red zone. So they kind of bend, don't break defense. They allow yards, but when you get in that red zone, they come up with some stops and probably leads to more field goals, all right? So 251 yards, they're allowing less yardage than what the Rams are giving up, and 1.8 TD, so around about the same in the TD department there. You do expect an inspired Baker Mayfield in this game. You saw what he was able to do against the Raiders. Solid performance there. I'm going to have him more as a flex play. I don't think he's a great captain play, especially when the game environment, we're in Lambeau. I think the Packers should win this game as well. So we're going to lean away from Baker Mayfield just a little bit. I had to bring him up. He's going to be more of a flex option, okay? More of a flex option, so he won't be thrown in the pool, all right? We're talking about captain. We're talking about explosiveness. Christian Watson, rookie wide receiver, injured earlier in the season, and he is bursted to end this season here, his rookie year, on fire. Look at the past 4 weeks. 35, 21, 24, and 24.4. This man is doing it in a multiple facets. Not only is he getting receiving touchdowns, he had 3 touchdowns against Dallas, 2 against Tennessee, 1 against Philly, 1 against Chicago. He's also running that football. That end around play that he had against Chicago was that 46-yard rush. That's what they were doing at the beginning of the season, having him a lot of movement for Christian Watson, having him run across the field and then have either go for a go route or fake the end around as well. And they would use Christian Watson and his speed a lot at the beginning of the season. Now it's maturing to him developing as a wide receiver and still using his ability and his speed in end around situation. So Christian Watson has a ton of upside in this game. Aaron Rodgers knows his number one guy right now is Watson. He has that juice, and he's going to give him the football. I love him at the captain spot for this particular game. All right, Cam Akers. If we're talking about someone on the Los Angeles Rams that has some upside at that captain spot, it's going to be him. And it's because the Packers struggle year in and year out stopping that run, okay? It's been a huge problem for them each and every year. Every time they get to the NFC Championship game. Why? What is the reason that they lose? Why? It's because they can't stop the run. It kills them. Each and every time. It's the same story over and over. All right, so the Green Bay Packers, 30th overall, 32nd in the red zone, 133 yards rushing a game, 5.1 yards a carry. This is their lead back here. Kyron Williams gets a little bit here and there, but the bell cow for this team is Cam Akers, all right? So he was in the doghouse early in the season. Now he's come back. He had a solid game against Seattle, which was a bottom-tier run defense. Vegas was a little bit in mid-tier. Now we're going back to a bottom-tier run defense. Cam Akers is going to be the way they can keep this game close. If they continue to feed him the football, I like him as a captain option, all right? We're going to the number 2 wide receiver here in Green Bay Packers. That's Allen Lazard. He's been nice, safe, sufficient, very reliable wide receiver, right? He hasn't breaking out and had big 20-point games like Christian Watson has. He's just been there, solid number 2 guy in this stretch run the past 4 to 5 weeks. So we can see some solid production from him. 11 fantasy points, 10 and 18 3 out of the past 5 games. Yes, he has some duds, but this is a game environment where he's in a very good spot to produce well, all right? Let's look at fantasy points allowed to wide receivers. We're going to flip that around, and these Rams have been struggling. 26th overall, 21st in the red zone, allowing 176 receiving yards to wide receivers and 1 touchdown per game. So we're going to be fine with Allen Lazard here, all right? So I love Watson. I love Lazard. And let's see if we find another gem here. I think we'll stop here for the captains. I don't want to just jam in with all captains. I think a lot of these guys we're going to come up to next are going to be better fit for flex ops. All right, let's move on. For your flex ops, the first guy we're going to talk about, we'll go back to that well with the wide receivers for Green Bay. Romeo Doubs is back now. All right, he has some upside. This is why I moved him to the flex. He's been usurped pretty much. Christian Watson came back. Allen Lazard is there. Romeo Doubs is now the number 3 wide receiver. Between him and is Randall Cobb even still there? Let's double check. Is Cobb even healthy? No, I think he's out. Let's double check that. No, Randall Cobb is back. So it's going to be between these 2 guys that are going to be sharing usage here. All right. Randall Cobb is the slot wide receiver. Romeo Doubs is a little bit in the doghouse, and he's back from injury now. So we'll see which one emerges. Matter of fact, I'll lean more to Randall Cobb over Romeo Doubs. So these are going to be the 2 number 3 options, pass catching wise, wide receiver wise for the Green Bay Packers between Doubs and Randall Cobb. I prefer Randall Cobb over Romeo Doubs since Romeo Doubs is coming back. First game from his injury, all right? So we'll take him out the pool. We'll keep Randall Cobb in there. Best friend of Aaron Rodgers, very reliable. He can come out of nowhere with some fantasy points. We've seen in week 11 and we've seen in week 5, right? Double-digit fantasy point performances from him as well, all right? So continue to go down here. Some of the weapons that Baker Mayfield's going to have to connect with. Number 1 is going to be Van Jefferson. More of a deep option here, but this is the best they got here. Van Jefferson, Ben Skoranek, those are going to be the 1-2 punches for the LA Rams here. That's going to get some usage and should be viable as a flex play. Van Jefferson, more of a deep guy. If things break down, he's going to be the guy that emerges. Tyler Higbee is the tight end for the LA Rams. He's in a good spot. Let's look at fantasy points allowed to that tight end position. And the Green Bay Packers have been struggling the past couple of weeks. 27th overall, 31st in the red zone. So Tyler Higbee was having a little bit of a rough patch, obviously, because they were trying to figure out the quarterback. Wolford was poor. Perkins was worse. And now Baker Mayfield, at least he can get the ball to Tyler Higbee, and Higbee has some upside in this game. So I'm liking him as if Baker Mayfield gets in trouble. He's a guy that's going to be short yardage, very reliable, sure-handed, and they like to run a lot of tight end screens as well. Tyler Higbee has some upside at the flex play. All right, A.J. Dillon is going to be your battering ram running back. If things get going, we've seen back-to-back great games from him. I have no problem going back to that well. Hopefully, A.J. Dillon can have a strong finish to the season. A lot of people were heavily on him at the beginning of the season in DraftKings and in fantasy football, and he has let people down. But now, I think maybe he's awoken. We got back-to-back games with touchdowns here, and I don't want to fade that. I think he keeps the ball rolling. The Packers finished this year strong, and A.J. Dillon emerges himself in this running back tandem here between him and Aaron Jones. So A.J. Dillon can be considered as a flex play as well. That using him, he's a big factor, the size and speed combination that he provides. I like A.J. Dillon. Hopefully he can continue that streak of touchdowns as well. All right, so if we're going with another option on Green Bay, Robert Tonyan is in a great spot. I was just at fantasy points allowed to that tight end position, and the Rams are poor as well. They're actually worse than the Green Bay Packers. 29th overall, 25th in the red zone, 52 yards a game, about 5 catches a game as well to that tight end position. Robert Tonyan has had a very up and down season. Solid to see. He had 45 receptions coming back from his injury. So if you're looking for a punt play at flex, he can be your guy. Now, let's look at some defenses and kickers. If we're going with that, type of route, we're not playing the Rams defense. I do not like the Rams defense in this game. We're in Lambeau. We're going to go with the Packers defense. Baker Mayfield has the tendency to turn over the ball, and in crucial situations, if it comes down in that fourth quarter situation, Packers defense has some upside here, all right? Taking advantage of Baker Mayfield and his poor performance that he's had all year long, all right? Just because he came back in that 3-minute period against the Raiders doesn't mean he's not the same old Baker Mayfield that we've seen the past couple of years. So if we're looking for a little bit of upside, if we're going with a defense, I'm definitely choosing Packers defense over the Rams defensive side as well. And for the kickers, we're going to go with Mason Crosby, kicker for the Green Bay Packers, 28th ranked opponent rank here. And we could just double check that here. Fantasy points allowed to kickers. We want to flip that around. And the Los Angeles Rams are second worst, allowing 10.2 fantasy points per game. This is why we're going to go with Mason Crosby. We're not going to go with the LA Rams kicker, right? So if we're looking at kickers and defense, Packers defense and Packers kicker, all right? So let's see if we find a couple gems, maybe a bottom well flex play here. I spoke about Ben Skoranek. He came up huge. He saw 7 receptions on 8 targets for 89 yards. This is a sneaky play right here. He had some huge catches against the Raiders. Maybe he has a little connection with Baker Mayfield because he was very limited in the playbook, and it was like a lot of drawn up passes for Ben Skoranek. So we could look at him as a bottom flex play. Tutu Atwell is next in targets. He was second. It was Ben Skoranek. It was Tutu Atwell. Then Van Jefferson is your deep guy. That's why I was trying to explain to you guys. Tutu Atwell is going to be a slot type of wide receiver here. For him to have huge upside, he needs to get an end zone. But maybe to convert some first downs, he's going to get some receptions. And he saw 9 targets from Baker Mayfield as well. So that's going to be considered in your bottom flex plays in your lineup. So other than that, if we're looking lower than them, lower than the kickers, we don't have to go this far down. Let's see. We got DeGuara, he's a backup tight end. Yeah, Torres, backup wide receiver. Yeah, that's how far we're going to go in our lineup builds. Tutu Atwell, Ben Skoranek, and Mason Crosby. All right, those are going to be the lowest we'll go in our lineup build. Let's lock in the 3 guys we must have in our lineup builds for Monday Night Football. The first guy we're going to talk about is going to be Cam Akers, all right? Cam Akers is in a great spot. There's a very poor rush defense here in Green Bay. I want to attack that defense that way. Aaron Rodgers, I love the game script for him. Rams struggle in the secondary, and we're going to connect him with his number 1 wide receiver. Very explosive, very speedy, and Allen Lazard, all right? So these are going to be the top 3 guys for Monday. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MetsNetJSD, and I'll be back with another video very soon, all right? Peace out, guys.